in Wisconsin, we have a proud history of making things. And for years, however, in the Midwest, we've been told that when we see boarded up factories or the rusting steel mills or laid off friends and relatives, that all of this was just an inevitable consequence of globalization. And for years, politicians in Washington and bankers in New York lectured us that the hollowing out of our towns was just the free market working its magic, that our friends were laid off should just move to the big cities, learn how to code, and get with the program. But the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party came here today in the heart of the Midwest, far from the think tanks in DC where jobs and factories are often just numbers on a spreadsheet, to explore a different thesis, which is that the decline of American industry is not inevitable and never has been. De-industrialization is a policy choice, and it's been the favored choice of both parties for far too long. But more than Democrats or Republicans, American de-industrialization has been the favored policy choice of the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing. Here's what happens. China heavily subsidizes national champions in critical industries like steel, shipbuilding, automotive parts, electric batteries, photovoltaics, and countless other industries. And what does a favored Chinese company get? Well, they get free real estate. They get the state-mandated obliteration of all domestic competition within China. They get huge cash subsidies, practically free loans, and a total pass on environmental standards or workplace safety regulations. I would submit we probably couldn't hold a roundtable like this in your Chinese competitor factory. It wouldn't be safe for us. No pesky organized labor to give underpaid workers a way to complain, because they know what happens when you complain. You disappear. And perhaps most egregious of all, a vast state-directed industrial espionage apparatus that's ready to coerce, hack, or steal any intellectual property or trade secrets that you need. Therefore, our companies in Wisconsin, our companies in Illinois, our companies across America are competing against Chinese firms that often literally cannot go bankrupt or be underpriced. And in the case of Stoughton Trailers, their Chinese competitors were selling products into the U.S. for less than the cost of the raw materials that were used to produce them. That's not competition. That's not fair competition in any meaningful sense. That's an economic disease that's eaten away at the fabric of our communities here for decades. And for years, I would submit that people in the Midwest, particularly Wisconsin, have understood what Washington is now just waking up to, which is that China doesn't play by the rules. The Chinese Communist Party's mercantilist industrial policy, it's underpricing, it's overpromising, it's dumping, and the U.S. markets has had devastating consequences for American workers, American manufacturers, and American national security. It's not a mystery why manufacturing in the Midwest has been hollowed out. It's a miracle that we still have strong manufacturing as a result of this naivety. Now, the good news is that we still have tools at our disposal to respond to this aggression. We could have a renaissance of making things here in America. Tariffs, when applied strategically to heavily subsidized PRC industries, not only reduce reliance on China, but also increase domestic manufacturing. Import exclusion orders prohibit goods produced using stolen intellectual property from entering the United States. Targeted economic incentives in clearly defined and narrowly tailored sectors to offset the PRC industrial policies can restore American competitiveness in key areas, strengthening our economy and our national security. And finally, this afternoon, we're going to hear from Stoughton Trailers about how trade remedies like countervailing duties can be used to level the playing field. And here we have, with Bob and his team here at Stoughton, an inspiring example of how American grit and determination can stand up to adversarial aggression. But they can't be our first line of defense against the CCP's trade warfare. We need to design trade, incentive, and regulatory systems that allow our manufacturing sector to flourish. The Chinese Communist Party is breathing down the neck of the American manufacturing worker, and Congress, in a bipartisan fashion, needs to safeguard our industry, push back on China's rapacious trade practices, and start stamping Made in America on more things that are made here in the Midwest.